I'm live streaming, just so you know, just then I'm going to set it all up. So carry on.
Okay. So I was on this daybed since lockdown began, really. That's when I got on the daybed. And I realized the other day, I've leapt off the daybed.
Yeah.
I got to that point, you know, where I thought, right, I'm not having this.
Change right there, isn't it? You changed it. You changed something.
Yeah.
Cool. And Susie, then you've got your business is taking off.
No, it's taken off. It's always been there.
Oh, yes, of course, yeah.
It's been in the air for a long time.
In the middle of this moving, and then
of course,
painting and renovating in my house.
Yeah, it looks beautiful, by the way.
I think you really have to keep busy, and I'm very manual. I realize that's my engineering background. I really need to be hands-on something. So I like this process of transforming something into something else under my own hands and fingertips. And I think that's what I also do with my clients, especially when I do treatments like physical treatments, massages. Because people tell me you're like an artist with sculpture. I feel like my body is being remodelated. So I'm remodelating body and soul, actually.
Yeah. Oh, I love
it.
That's really lovely.
I do like the artists do. They just remove the extra, the statue is already there.
Yeah, take away what's
David was already
and reveal the thing inside. Yeah, the beauty inside. Beautiful.
That's it.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Thing, isn't it? It's
I think that's a metaphor for us all. I think we all have this David inside, this masterpiece, this art piece, this beauty, and then we just have to remove the extra.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, isn't it? Because people think you're adding, you're having to learn something new. It's not. You're taking away.
You're taking away.
Absolutely.
You are revealing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just going to get a pen and notebook. I need to write this down.
Just a reminder, I might get a delivery, so I'll just mute myself and go if I need to. Okay.
Yeah, this is real life, babe. Real good.
I know.
I'm just doing one more share and then we'll chat. I'm so excited. I'm so proud of you all. And my gigs, like they're starting from the 16th of July, which is 3 days before lockdown.
Yeah.
But for some reason I've got one on the 16th, and I've got at least one for the next, I reckon, a year and a half.
A week?
One a week at least.
Fantastic.
Two and three some weeks. And some days I've got 2 in a day.
Yeah, well, some people, I guess, are making up 2 in a day. That's not easy, is it, on your voice?
Well,
when is that starting, Danielle?
16th of July. Yeah.
And that's going to last?
It's just UK. I'm not traveling out.
No, but for how long? Is it going to be the whole summer?
More than about a year and a half I've got booked in up front.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I guess everyone's trying to cram back in, their events, aren't they, to try and make up for all the money they've lost.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be one big party, isn't it, the UK?
I do hope so.
Come over. I'll tell you, come and join the party.
Well, I can't travel, but there you go.
Oh, I know. I don't want to. I've been
traveling on Tuesday. Wish me luck, girls, because there's so much paperwork to do. My goodness.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Going, I don't know. It became such a complex thing to travel.
I'm going to drive up to the Pyrenees for my birthday in a couple of weeks, and that's as far as I'm going, I think, for now.
Lovely.
Just go to see the Pyrenees. I've got to go up those mountains.
Oh, how wonderful is that?
I really missed them last year. Yeah.
Oh my God. Lovely. Yeah. No, I've been offered like abroad stuff, but I don't want to do it yet. I don't want all the stress of it. I don't. No. I don't want the stress of traveling.
There's no guarantee of that, because you might have to then isolate when you come back, and you can't risk it, can you?
Yeah.
No, I can't.
I assume this risk, and let's see what it gives. I think I put myself in the bubble, and then I let the bubble roll, through that. Yeah, what can you do? I need to go. I need to pick up my contracts. I can't just let it go. So
no, you've got a whole contract out there, haven't you? Because when I go, it's literally for a day. Like you go over there, you do the gig, and then you come back. And for me, it's just like that's a lot of traveling, a lot of stress for one day. It's just
and flights are still being cancelled. Not because of the government, but because if BA, for instance, if they've only got 3 people booked on a flight, they have to cancel it.
Yeah, they cancelled me. We were due to go in June back to the UK, and it got cancelled.
Yeah. My sister couldn't go to her daughter's wedding.
Mm.
She wasn't going with them. Her flight was a different flight, and it's somewhere hot. I don't know where it is, on a beach and hot. And it was cancelled at the last minute.
Oh,
Well, if it's cancelled, that's what it is.
sad.
But at least, I'm doing what it takes. And that's what it is. I mean, what can I do?
No,
Yeah,
seriously, you're
exactly.
I mean, there's other flights. You just have to go different. It's fine. You're gonna smash it. You're gonna be in the sun.
I mean, yeah.
You're going to be in the sun on a lounger and doing a little bit of work and then relaxing.
And besides, I'm staying there. I'm not going anywhere else. I'm just staying in the resort, and that's it. So,
Where is it?
Where is it?
Portugal, and it's next to, well, it's on the Douro Valley. It's 1 hour and a half away from Porto. So up the valley of Douro. Yeah.
It's lovely.
It's lovely. And it's a resort. There's nothing else around. I'm not going to be in town. It's just the hotel, and the guests are probably checked and either vaccinated or tested or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, it's going to be amazing. Look, we're sitting here chat to you all day. We can do one.
Yeah, we have to go on with our chat.
Right.
Let's
do it.
Yeah.
I love you, girlies. I flipping love you. So good morning, everybody that's watching. Joining in our Friday chats, because I'll tell you what, it just keeps me on a level. This does, keeps me nice and relaxed. Today, firstly, before I start, our new episode of Brain Work, the new episode of the Real Therapy podcast is coming out just after this, and it's going to be about freedom. It's the one that we did last week. So it's now going out as the podcast. Yes, it is. So it's going out today. And yeah, so if you haven't already listened to our podcast, that's number 8, I think, and today's number 9, something like that. So we've done there's loads going out. So go to realtherapypodcast.com/follow, and then you can follow us on all the channels, all the podcasting channels, and come and join us and write to us and have a party with us. Come and ask us anything you want to be asked. So today on this channel, Focus, it's been one of those mornings, I'll tell you, and I've been freezing as well. I've been really cold, so I've got the heating on here. But so today for this Therapy Talks, we are talking about change, because change is something that we all have to do to grow. Change is growth, and it can be and is sometimes extremely scary, but it's also very necessary. And so there are so many ways that we change throughout our lives, right? From being we change from children into mini adults, and then into adulthood, and then into older age. And life is change. Everything about us is changing on a daily basis, on a minute basis. Every second something is changing, and our awareness of everything, we can be focused on something where just by changing our perspective and maybe looking from a different angle or a different way of looking at a situation, just by changing that, the whole thing that we're looking at can just change in that light. So change is extremely powerful. And today we wanted to talk about, because I listed a few things out. So you can change your mind, you can change your mood, because that's actually, I find it powerful and quite simple to change my mood, because all I have to do is put on a good flipping song and I'm there and I feel good again, or I just go out for a walk, or I'll speak to my family or friends, and I can just change my mood, because it happens to us all. We all have bad days, and we can all take control of that. We can master that. And change that to having a good day, because it's how we believe. What we believe will be attracted to us. So changing that mindset, changing your thoughts, because we can do that. We can all do that. And as NLP coaches, we have tips how to do that as well. So we'll talk all about that in a bit. Changing your habits. You can change your habits. now that's a bit more well, I say it's a bit more complicated, but it isn't. You just have to want to change. If you want to change, you will do the work that's needed to change, because to do the habit, you're doing it, you're practicing it. So by changing your mindset and deciding and choosing, I don't want to do that habit anymore, you can change that. Just the same thing, it's practice. Changing your perception, I talked about that just a second ago. Changing your language, very, very powerful. Reframing things, looking at things instead of, you know, in a way like my TV's broken. Oh gosh, my TV's broken. You can then go, okay, my TV's broken. What can I do instead? Can I read a book? How can I expand my mind? Can I go out and do something? Can I meet someone? So there's many things that you can do that. And changing your attitude as well, which I think is so empowering, you know, because if you've got a bad attitude, when did that start? What happened to create that bad attitude? Can you go back and look at the situation that happened that gave you that baggage that you're carrying with you, maybe in your subconscious mind, so that you can just change that, and your attitude will then change in light of that. So, God, there's so much thing. Change is change. And I get excited by change. You know, like throughout my life, I've had so many different things where I've just had to be adaptable and just go with the flow, because you have to be open. I had to be open to change all the way throughout. And especially everyone through this pandemic. This is the biggest change in the world, you know, that we've ever experienced, because everyone's normality just stopped. You know, like my sister's, you know, very much organized. You know, she needs plans, and she's so different to me. She's like, she was the head girl and I was expelled. You know what I mean? It's chalk and cheese. But like, she's such a planner and just everything's meticulous. And I do just go with the flow. But especially for her, this has been one massive change, this pandemic, and her whole life. She couldn't plan anymore. She couldn't plan anything anymore. And she had to adapt, and she's still a planner. She still likes her organization, but she's realized at this time, you can't really plan stuff. All you can do is set your intention and go that direction, really. So this is the things we're talking about today, change. I love change. So today where should we go first? Who wants to start? Susie, bottom left.
Well, I have 1,000 things to say about change. It's one of the most vast, I think, subjects of all. But there's a couple of things that I want to start with, and depending on where the conversation goes, I think one important aspect that I'd like to mention is that, and that comes from the Vedic wisdom, is that everything in life is change, except one thing, which doesn't change. And basically the whole philosophy of the Vedic system in Ayurveda and yoga is about focusing on that which does not change. Because it's the only place where you're going to find peace, because everything, if your attention goes on what changes, even if it gives you pleasure and happiness and excitement and satisfaction for the moment, that it too eventually will change, will transform, and will end. So the whole philosophy of yoga and Ayurveda is to focus on that which doesn't change, which is eternal. And that's the basis of meditation, because the more you're focusing on that aspect of yourself which doesn't change, and we all have it, the better you feel, the more at ease you feel with the dance of the law, the universal law of change, which is around you. So you are at the center of the wheel while the wheel is turning. But coming out from the philosophy and down on earth, another point I'd like to make is that there is such a thing as too much change, like not being able to cope with a change that is too drastic, too dramatic. And if we're looking into death, which is a major transition, and for those left behind, it's a very difficult step to overcome. There's a whole process going on there. Yes, we do have the ability to go beyond and to be adaptable, like you said, but there are situations where change is hard to deal with. And as a matter of fact, most of my coaching sessions are about that. when people do some transitions from one job to another, when they want to change lifestyle, when they want to change the way they eat, when they want to change jobs, when they want to find a new partner, when they are going through a divorce, when they're moving. And here I am, I'm the one that had to deal through a major change lately. So all the coaching sessions mostly are about that. I mean, isn't it? It's about coping and being able and having enough tools to deal, to readjust, to readapt, and to create a new perspective, because the mind is forced to find new, as you said, new perspectives. So when you cannot change the reality outside, sometimes, see, or another subject for the session is when things don't change. And that's another funny aspect, isn't it? When people say, oh, I don't see things changing and everything is cyclical. So I think change is part of nature. Change happens in cycles, and we have day, night, we have a year, we have the seasons. Everything in life is cyclical, and we are the products of this planet. We are totally dependent on these cycles in nature. There's no more day and night, everything is gone, us included. So change is a part of life, but change has some in nature, has a sort of a logic. There is intelligence in this cyclicity, and there is meaning in this cyclicity. The problem with the humans is that we are creating change that doesn't make sense sometimes, see? So that's the thing. We are being carried by the mind. So mind doesn't always follow the cyclicity of nature. So from the Vedic perspective and from this wisdom of the ancient times, the best way to cope with change is to ride with it and to follow the nature's flow, the nature's rhythms. And hence the importance of, doing seasonal cleansing and respecting your body, understanding the nature of your body. You were mentioning earlier your sister being more organized and planning. That means that she's of a Pitta, of a fire nature. You being of a Kapha nature, of a water, then you're different in the way you are approaching life. So change is perceived differently as well, through the perspective of the three doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So there is a lot to say there. There's lots to learn. And for those listening, if you want to learn more about Ayurveda, you can contact me. I mean, there is so much that you can get from just understanding your body type, from you being able to tune more into the nature law, because our mood, you were saying that our mood is changing. The mood is changing with what? It's changing with a season. It's changing with the weather. It's changing with who's in front of you. It's changing with what's happening around us. So if you are mastering at least the elements of your body, then change will be more, how do you say, you can enjoy it more.
Yeah.
I think change should be enjoyed as long as it's not getting over the universal law. I think we need to respect that in order to enjoy change. When we don't, then it's dramatic. So then it's then that we need a session. It's then that we need some help. It's then that we need somebody to guide us and to help us. And I'm going to stop here because else I'm going to talk, for the rest of the.
No, that was fascinating. That's a beautiful thing because it's from the Ayurvedic perspective, and it's right. That's exactly right, because I mean, I haven't learned yoga or Ayurveda, but I spent some lovely time with you guys, so I'm learning about it. But the things that are constant as well, it's like, exactly what you said, the meditation, your breath, all these things that are the sun, the moon cycles, and these things are always there. The fact, grass growing, like nature growing, flowers growing, things around you. Well, I suppose in different countries, without water, you don't get that. So, but there are constants everywhere around you that you can focus out for and look for to get that centering for yourself. But that was brilliantly put. Well done, Susie. So we're going to go to Kate. Kate.
Hey, hi. Yeah, I mean, I've loved what Susie was saying about that part. I love that idea of you're the center of the wheel and everything else is turning around you. And so finding your center, we talked about centering before, haven't we, as you just mentioned as well. So it is finding that part of you that is constant, that is just at peace, and it's kind of like full of energy as well. And that's that part that that's what I call freedom. That's my word for it. It's that feeling of just space and freedom of the stress and turmoil. And you kind of once you find that place, wherever it is for you, and tune into that, then all the other turmoil can kind of, you get that perspective, you see it for what it is, because you're stepping back from it. You're not inside of it. And I think that's the thing, is when you overwhelm tends to be feeling like out of control because it's controlling you. And that's the opposite of freedom for me. And so people, when I'm working with people, I'm actually, they're coming to me because they're overwhelmed. They don't know what to do. They've probably tried so many things already. And then they come and then they get their, the relief that they're looking for in whatever it is, whatever suffering that they're feeling. And so, and because change is inevitable, because that's like the third law of thermodynamics, entropy is just like, everything is changing all the time. You buy something, it's already starting to degrade, because the atoms are moving and they're constantly falling apart. So everything changes. We've got the cycles of the seasons, we said, everything is growing. Like we've done a lot of work with the trees on our land, and now they're growing so much because they've got so much more space that it's like we're going to have to like think about how we're going to shape these trees now, because they're just getting too big and too overwhelming. And so you've constantly, the job is never done. It's like your to-do list. Forget your to-do list. It's never ever going to ever be done. And so you've got to find a way of coping with that. The fact that everything is changing all the time. Like you wake up in the morning, throw your plan out the window. The first thing that happens is like you have to go and do something else. Like I had a call this morning that I had to go and sort out something. And that's, my whole morning was completely changed. And you've got to be able to deal with that, because that's what life is. It's constantly changing. Like I talk about, you're constantly just walking on this tightrope, trying to balance your thoughts and your feelings and taking a step. And then life's there giving it a wiggle now and again, just to really keep you on your toes and keep you practice, to keep you sort of build that is kind of like a strength. It's like a superpower, isn't it? Being able to cope with whatever life throws at you, and not necessarily doing it well, and being okay with that too, because a lot of stress is saying, I didn't do that perfectly. Well, guess what? Nobody does. Just do, and the worry about, if I had to put a list together of all the things I did yesterday, I had to drive half an hour to go and sort something out because my Wi-Fi box suddenly died. I had to drone drive, get a replacement because I had a client at 2:00, and I had to go and get that and come back. And it was just, and I didn't have a backup phone number for them. So I couldn't even ring them to say, can we put it back an hour, whatever. So it was just like, you got to deal with it. If I'd put that in my day, this was what's going to happen in my day, how your whole plan is going to have to change, it would have stressed me out in the morning. But because it just happened, I just dealt with it, and you get on with it, don't you? And so change is always going to be there. So it's that growing that skill of, and it is kind of like, it's not a skill because it's already there. It's this innate power you already have of tuning into that place that we were talking about. For me, it's like that freedom of just a clear head and a peaceful mind, and body feeling like it's got the energy it needs to cope. And I think coping with change, there's the things that are thrown at you where life's wiggling the rope and it's just throwing you stuff, and you've got to be able to just cope with that on the move, as it were. And then there's choice, change that you want to make. That's like, I don't like this habit that I have and I want to change it. So then you're actually purposely putting stress in your life then, because the mind hates change, absolutely hates it. It will do anything to stop you. So willpower alone is really hard to change anything, because you're trying to make your mind do something it doesn't want to do. It wants to keep everything the same. We're safe here. We're in our comfort zone. Even if it's really uncomfortable, doesn't matter how uncomfortable it is, your mind still wants you to stay there. Don't make it any worse. Don't go out there and risk. We're okay. We're alive. Don't try and change anything. And so you're constantly going against that. And you've got to find ways to do that. And then that's where coaching comes in handy, doesn't it? To have somebody to sort of help you, accountability buddies to make you do it, you know, or whatever it might be for you, but something that kind of like going to the gym on your own or something. Or, you know, it's much easier, isn't it, when you've got somebody that you're going to let down if you don't go. So it's finding those ways. And then before you even get to that, you've got to have a big enough why to even put the energy in. You know, what is your why? And finding what is it? And it can't be for somebody else. You want to change something because someone else wants you to, or even maybe it's the money thing. Because a lot of people think, oh, I want to give up smoking because the cost of it, which is horrendous, let's face it. But that alone isn't going to make you do it. It's not. And 9 out of 10 people, apparently, this is a stat that I heard, that are given a really sort of bad prognosis because of their heart, they have a heart problem. And 9 out of 10 people are told, if you don't change your diet and start doing some exercise and eat in the right way, if you don't do this, then you will die. 9 out of 10 still don't do it.
I can believe that.
And so because they don't have a big enough why, they're comfortable doing what they're doing, and change is hard. And so that's where we come in, isn't it? That's where we help people with dealing with life's wiggling of the rope, dealing with those sort of things. How do I cope with, I've just lost this loved one and I don't know how to get through this on my own. I just don't know, I don't have the tools to do this. I don't know what to do. Or it's, I want to give up this habit. And then you've got to think about, well, how do I do that? And there are steps that help, that can work, and it's tuning into you and knowing what you need and knowing what that why is as well. And the other thing I really wanted to talk about was, because for me, I love change. I'm kind of like addicted to it because it's like a stress thing for me. I love those stress hormones when they show up because it makes me feel alive. So I kind of purposely put myself in very stressful situations just to get that hit of those hormones. So I have to be really careful about that. So the other thing about change is, it's also like, if you're addicted to change, you've got to keep changing things, putting yourself in stressful situations just so that you can feel that feeling, then that's also a problem. And so, and I know that I have to manage that for myself because I'm very much aware of it, and putting myself into all these situations and saying, right, and I'll just do it because it'll make me do it because I've committed myself to that now, so I'm going to do this, this, and this, instead of saying, well, maybe I just need a rest. Yeah. So that's also another thing that some people want too much change. As Susie was saying, there's not enough. And once I first got over the sort of stress thing that I was going through and learned how to really manage myself when I got really stressed, I realized that I was bored stiff. This is boring. I don't want this life just peaceful all the time. That wasn't me at all. And so I had to find that balance between the two. Yeah. And so there's that aspect of change as well, like addiction to it. And what was driving that for me? Not enough. Not good enough as you are. You've got to keep changing. You've got to improve yourself. You've got to keep growing. And it was the addiction to that, because of I didn't feel I was good enough as I was. And the question then is, what if you're just okay as you are? What if you don't have to do anything?
Yeah.
Then choice comes in. And that's the thing about choose your stress, because all change is stressful. So what stress do you want to choose?
It's beautifully put. In fact, this pandemic has actually been a really good leveler for me as well, and probably for many, many other people, because I was constantly all over the place, just constantly, like, 1 minute I'm in England, next minute I'm on a cruise somewhere, next minute I'm on a flipping gig somewhere. I'm just like constantly just busy and changing everything. But this and the pandemic just literally leveled it out and just was like, stop, you've got to stop now. So then it gave me a chance to look at why was I doing all these things, constantly busy. And it was almost like I can't really put my finger on it. It was almost like I couldn't, firstly I had too many things I'd taken on and I couldn't say no, really, a lot of the time, because I was in that position. Well, I could have said no, obviously, but I didn't want to say no because I was pushing myself. It was like, I have to keep doing this. I have to keep doing this to feel amazing, you know, to keep moving forward. Because if I don't do it, then what? You know, and the pandemic gave me that then what? And it was amazing for me because it gave me that focus that I needed to do my therapy. And it's and that this last year and a half has been life-changing for me by focusing on all this, because it's just it's focused on my authenticity rather than on this on this whirlwind. I think that's really how I can put it. It's like a whirlwind, and now I'm in the calm. That's how I feel right now. So I'm grateful to the pandemic for that, because now I'm going to pick and choose what I do and when I do it and what I want to do, because I'm not going to say yes to everything. I don't want to. I don't want to anymore. Maybe that's just my age as well. But it's also just the relax and the calmness I feel now. And I'm grateful to everyone for that. So, and to myself and to the pandemic. So Linda, gorgeous girl.
You were just saying that, weren't you, before we went live? I think you were saying that you've got some gigs and you were offered them and you're not doing them because you don't want to. Yeah, I think that's great. Yes, change. So I've been focusing for the past month, I think it is, or so. I've been focusing on helping people with phobias. So I've learned such a lot. I've seen lots of clients, and therefore I've gained a great deal from them. And quite a few of them, not all of them, but quite a few of them, they've got this horrible phobia that is ruining their life. And phobias are not just about the fear of that particular thing. They spread out, and they make your life small. You have to make small life choices if you've got something you're afraid of that could crop up at any time. So they want rid of that. And some of them don't want change. They are afraid of change. They want me to change how it is for them, or to help them to change that. But we can hit resistance because it's change. And what I've seen with that is a focus on, for those people, on believing it's who they are. Well, I've been like this for 30 years now. I've had this claustrophobia or whatever it is for 30 years. So they feel as if it's her down. I'm working with a boy. He's 9. He's only 9. He's lovely. And he desperately wants rid of his phobia. His is emetophobia, fear of being sick. And it is really causing a great deal of anxiety, and his days are not what he wants them to be at all. But it started when he was 4.
Right.
So he's lived longer with it than without it. And those years up to being 4, he wouldn't remember a lot of them. So it's become stuck to him. And what I'm thinking about is how many people resist change because they're not sure who they are. Because they're not sure if everything is changing then, if they've got to change, because they're getting a new job or a divorce or a new baby. If they take their identity from life continuing the same, then change will be even harder, won't it? It will be something to resist. And we can work around it. Of course, we are working around it. But it has surprised me how there can be that dichotomy. I want change. I want change because I can't go on like this. But I don't want change. I'm scared of change. I think I've made quite a lot of notes this morning already as well, and I think I can see some things. I can see that what we need to look for then, if we are concerned about change, what we need to look for is who we are. Who we are, this going to be the center of the wheel, isn't it, as well, as has already been said. Look for who you are at the center. And then change will not affect that center. So there's nothing to be afraid of. I like change. I don't know what I think about astrology, but I'm a Gemini, and
So am I.
Yes, and we are known to like variety, aren't we? This is what we need. We need variety. And I always feel I will die if I don't get variety. I will die of sameness. That is what will kill me, sameness. That's improved, actually. I have changed in that way. I've done such a lot of work. I've had help from some amazing people over this last 18 months. Yeah. And actually, now I'm working full time, as we spoke of before, and I'm going from appointment to appointment to appointment. So my days are all very samey. It's okay. It's actually okay. So something must have changed for me in there. The other thing I'd like to share about change is I think it's connected with resilience. Being okay with change, I think is connected with resilience and it's connected with expectation, isn't it? An expectation, not only that things will stay the same, that's a bit simplistic. I mean, having an expectation of how something will go.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't go that way. We've lived this since last August, when one of my daughters had her baby and was full of expectations, full of desires, and how it was done, they had to try very hard to get her. She's had her late in life. So of course it was all built up for her. Really, it was going to be exactly the way she wanted it. Yeah. The rest of us, of course, were smirking. The rest of us had children, and we were all smirking about that. Yeah, well, that's not going to work. And she's learned that. She has done really, really well. She has had to learn not to have expectations, and to adjust what we call hope. So hope, if you're not careful, is simply expectation.
Interesting.
So you've got to hold hope with an open hand. You can hope. We've got to have hope. Otherwise, we're all depressed, aren't we? So you can hope that the weather is going to be brilliant on whatever day for your picnic. You can hope that. But if you are reliant on it for your happiness, for your okayness, then you will be taken down when it's raining, won't you? And we live in Britain, so we can't afford to do that. So I think that's where resilience comes in. My daughter's, I had felt she didn't have any resilience because she was often knocked sideways for quite a long time. But she pointed out to me she does have resilience because she never stays there. She's a slow processor, but she does process, and she will come out of it. So that's what resilience is, isn't it? It is that bouncing back. You've been knocked down, bouncing back. And so I guess I've learned from Lizzie that there's no rule says you have to bounce back right away.
No. You
can bounce back when you're ready to bounce back. I think that's to do with change as well. So some things change. If you're resilient, you will cope with that. So, and the other thing I want to go back to is what Susanna said two Fridays ago, that we have to work on these things.
Yeah.
We cannot expect ourselves to be capable of coping with anything if we haven't done something to give ourselves that capability.
Absolutely.
And coping with change just requires resilience and capability, doesn't it? So,
I think that's perfectly put, because resilience, every single one of us in this life have all been through something that we thought we couldn't go through, and we come out the other side.
Yeah.
Every single one of us has done that, whether it be whatever area in your life it is, and you have done it. And then when you look back at that and you realize how incredible you were to actually have achieved that, or have got through that part, you know, that is resilience.
I would say
the right change.
I would add a bit to that. There are some who do not, and they end their life.
No. I'm talking about in their past. In their past, they probably have.
So if they're still here now.
Yeah, if they're still here now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think some though are still carrying that past.
Of course.
So some have probably hidden it away.
And that started, exactly. That started somewhere, but before that point, they were bouncing back. You know, there was a point where that started. Yeah, so you know, that was big. And I think one of the most powerful ways as well that anyone can do is by recognizing that resilience and that vision of when they were that resilient person that they can be, and really taking note of everything that's going on in that picture and how they felt and what they looked like, and you know, everything about that picture that was so that adapted to change, and how, you know, how they got through that. And that's a really powerful place to be, because if you're having the struggles at present, visualization is really, really powerful, because you can think about how you know, you might be in a state of anxiety, whereas you're thinking, I don't know, say you've got an exam you've got to go to, and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to, you know, really mess up on this exam, or a job interview or something like that. And I'm going to really mess up on it. And you're visualizing yourself messing up on it. Well, you will, because your brain will do what you believe you are. That's it. But if you can then visualize, just figure out where it is that you're seeing that. And if you can visualize yourself, just stop there and just step back and visualize, what do you want to see? What do you want yourself to look like? How do you want yourself to feel? Do you want yourself to have achieved it? You know, what are the feelings you're going to get? Let's live that moment instead of repeating in your brain, you know, the negatives. Focus on the positives, what you want, and replace that image. Get rid of the other image, make it black and white, make it faded, make it blurry, make it throw it away.
Throw it away. Throw it over your head. And it can sometimes even be faster than that. It happened to me during the week. I was anxious about something, and I shared this with my mentor, and he said, it was just in a message as well. I messaged him, and he said, this is really important, not how would you be or what would you be thinking, who would you be if you weren't?
Oh, nice.
And I just wrote back and said, oh yeah, I can feel who I would be if I wasn't, so I'm going to do that then. Now, I don't know how easy it is for, you know, we've had a lot of practice, haven't we? But then that's what we come back to, practice this stuff, practice it until you can do it. And I never had a moment's anxiety about that thing afterwards.
Oh, so good.
And then everything began to match. And there was nothing to worry about. It all came right. What I was worrying about all came right.
That's beautiful. Susie,
can I add something? Lots of ideas coming. You guys wow. Well, I want to add next to the resilience, I think one important aspect to look into is also discernment. You see, because if you look at our life as it is today, everything we're going through today is a consequence of some changes that we've done in the past. And although I respect and I admire science up to a certain point, I prefer the ancient and the wise science like Ayurveda, for instance. We have done things that just because we could. I find that there's lots of wisdom and discernment that is lacking in the scientific world today, where we are looking at the short term the short-term effect and benefits, and we ignore the long-term benefits. Like we have created a lifestyle and all this technology that is supposed to make our lives better, for instance, but now we're dealing with the social media and all these gadgets and all these computers and the phones and everything, and it seems to get tighter and tighter and tighter. And then we're looking for solutions after, because we need to deal with the side effects of these things without looking at the cause. I mean, we're never really looking at the cause as a society. So as an individual, you have two possibilities: either to go with this and be a victim of this wave, because it's going to get even more and more intense, according to my opinion, until it's going to reach the end of the cycle, and then we'll have to reboot somehow because we can't cope with too much. Or you are an individual that chooses her or his own rhythm, his own change. Like at what level you want to be part of this collective craziness, or you want to withdraw from it energetically, mentally, and create your own rhythm and your own. And I guess us here, we have done that to a certain extent, right? And many other people. So it's very important to go with this, to make the distinction between what is a natural rhythm, what is a natural need for change, and what is a societal imposed need for change. Like, look at us, we need more and more. It's not enough where we are. We want even more progress. We're moving faster and faster towards, what is my question? Yeah. What is the point of all this speed, and including more technology, and now IA, and now this and that, towards what? Me, as an individual, I ask myself this question: where does it help me? Does it give me any benefit or not? And if the answer to that is not, then establish your own rhythm and choose the way you want to change in your own pace. I think it's still possible. And talking about resistance and resilience to change, I want to add an important Ayurvedic perspective here, because the three doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, they don't react in the same way, and they don't create change in the same way. So we should look at things a bit more like with more acceptance, in the sense that in this world there are three forces. And there are those who are going for change and everything should be changed, which is mostly in Vata. And Kate, I recognized in your speech to this, because you're very tiny, so you are of a Vata nature. And Vata people tend to look and create more change in their lives than they're capable of coping with, because their mind goes like this all the time. And then Pitta is the energy that plans things. Okay, we change, but we need to make a plan. We need to make sense of it. We need to direct this change towards a certain purpose. That's what Pitta, or the fire type, wants. And Kapha is more conservatory. It resists change. It is more like it likes to stay more with its traditions, more with its customs, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because imagine that we had only one type of flower and we had only one type of fish on the planet, and then the things will go crazy. We need to have people that want to go for change and want to change, radical change. We need people that want to plan, and we need people to say, hey, hold on a second, let's cool off a little bit. So don't judge yourself too harsh if you're not too much for the change, or if you're too much for the change, because it depends on how you are. And everybody, I think, just like every single fish in the sea and every life form in the universe, every single person plays a role in the balance that we are all leading in the world. And look at it, the more you create a tendency to the left, there's going to be some reaction to the right. And because the tendency, the universal law that we tend to ignore, is that nature tends towards harmony. We can mess it all up, but it will find ways to, calm us down in a way or another. And maybe this pandemic is part of that. Because you see, in the Hinduism, for instance, we talk about the three gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And Brahma is the creator. There is a force that creates. Vishnu is the force that preserves, is the conservative part. And Shiva is the destruction or the change. So that we need these three forces. We need change, we need stability, and we need, what else would I say? And creation, right? So in terms of that, I think in terms of your own personal choices when it comes to change, depending on your dosha, especially if you're vata, so that you're like hyper and you think you want more and more and more, and you think that you need more to be active, well, then you have to create some area aspect of your life to feed that aspect of yourself. But at the same time, you need to create an aspect of your life which stays stable. Okay, me and Vata as well. I'm Vata and Pitta. I'm some wind and fire. So I have both doshas to deal with. And so what I do, I'm very creative and I create lots of manual things. Like I like to paint my house. I like ask Danielle. I like to do all kinds of things. Like I like to change things in the house and I like to paint, and I channel my need for variation in my work as well. I travel here and there, so I don't do constant thing. I do the same thing, but in different places.
Yeah.
But what I keep constant is my discipline, my practice, my eating hours. So I try, it's good to keep the balance, to keep something stable.
Nice.
So you're better dealing with change. This is a very concrete and down to earth and very, very pertinent advice to give to people. Keep something stable, keep something going, whatever that is, your daily yoga practice, your daily meditation, your daily walks, eating at the same hours. All this gives stability to the body, because even if we believe that we can change everything, we can, but that happens at the mind level. The body is under different laws, and the body plays an important role in the feeling of balance, in the feeling of satisfaction and joy. So if the body cannot follow your mind, then there is a discrepancy there. So give the body something stable while you can, use your mind in different ways to satisfy the need for change and for variety, if you want. I don't know if it makes sense what I'm saying.
That really makes
Yeah,
sense.
it does. Yeah, for me, like she was saying about being a mix, because that is me. And I remember once I did one of these personality type tests when I was at work. You have to do this test that tells you the sort of manager that you're going to be or you are. And I came across really high as resource investigator, which is the one that's going out looking for newness, coming up with new ideas, creative, going out there. But also really high on completer finisher, which is the planner, which is the fire type, as you were saying. So, and I remember this guy saying to me, I said, well, I came up really sort of 50-50 with both these two parts. He said, okay, so you need to plan, but it bores you stiff. I said, yeah, that's exactly it. That is me. I have to plan, but I hate it. I'm bored with it. And that was this whole, like you say, the dichotomy. I was total extremes in these things. And so that is, and but knowing that and accepting it and saying, okay, that's me. I don't like the fact I find it really boring. I love to finish things and tick things off my list and make a plan before we even start, because the other part of me saying, come on, let's go and do this, and let's do it now. And so it's this whole like sort of schizophrenic thing going on in my head. And as you say, it's the body that's saying, yeah, what about rest? What about we just don't do anything for a while? How about that? How might that be? And so that's the other part of me, that I've got to listen to my body. It can't all just be my head wanting all these things and different things. And we were talking about resilience. And so part of the thing that I teach in my course that Linda knows about is that what is resilience? Well, resilience is really simple. It's just having more energy than you've got tension. And that's all it is. So, and most of us tend to have the best resilience in the morning. So if you've got to change something or do something different, then that's the time. Go when you've got the energy, when your body feels, because your body's feeling safe, because it feels alive, it's got energy. As soon as you're trying to do change at 10 o'clock at night when you're absolutely knackered, then that's going to be the time that your mind and your body are just going to be so stressed that change is going to feel hard. So if you're attempting to change a habit, then build a routine in the morning, something new, do something different then. And that gives you, not only does it give you the momentum, like, yeah, I did that, and you feel good about yourself the whole of the day. So that's kind of something you put in your belt that carries you through the day. But also that's the time to create new habits when you have the energy to cope with it. Because as soon as your tension goes up, as it does throughout the day, you will notice your tension creeps up throughout the day, and your energy drops throughout the day. So eventually you run out of resilience. No matter who you are, you cannot do it all day. And so picking those times, if you want to have that awkward conversation with somebody, do it when your resilience is high, which is going to be usually before about 2 o'clock, and then it starts to really kind of dip, and a real big dip around 4 o'clock for most people. So knowing that for yourself is absolutely key. And so if you want to make any change, then that's the time to do it. And the other thing I wanted to say was about the body again is feeling. So a lot of the work I do with clients is just teaching them how to feel again, because change is scary. So how am I going to cope? Like, nobody is confident about all these changes that they're making in their lives. Nobody is. No one has just confidence that just comes. You have to, it's a skill that you have to kind of like polish up, and part of that is just confidence. To me, is about knowing that you're going to cope with whatever feeling comes up, just trusting yourself. That's what confidence is. This is going to be scary, but I know I'll cope with it, and I won't die. So you're telling your body it's okay, we're not going to die, doing this. It's going to be, yes, I get you're scared, but we'll do it when we're most resilient, when we've got that energy and the tension is low. And if you need to, learn how to relax a bit so that the difference between your energy and your tension is giving you some resilience. So learning how to relax your body and just saying, we're going to go for this. We'll be okay. We're not going to die. Don't worry. Trust me. So it's building that, isn't it? That trust in yourself.
It's funny you should say that, because another thing as well, when I was doing all these different things before the pandemic, it was almost a fear of like, if I stop, how will my body cope? Do you know what I mean? Will I just stop? Will everything just stop? Will my body just stop? Does that make sense? I kept going because I was proving to myself I still could do it, What would happen if I stopped? I wouldn't allow myself to even consider that, because it wasn't an option. This is what I had to do, because I have to keep going. I'm okay to keep going. But as soon as I was forced to stop, that was the biggest gift of all, because my body was desperate for a rest. I was living I was so tired. And I was like, it's just been like a gift, I've given myself like some time.
And so you were so busy, you were keeping going. You wouldn't notice you were tired.
No, I did notice I was tired, but I was scared of stopping. What would happen if I was stopped? Yeah.
So my energy is high.
Linda, your mic is a bit making
clicking a lot. Yeah.
I don't know what you're touching, or
it is.
Necklace.
The necklace.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Oh no.
Oh, what a shame. It's beautiful.
It's happened before. Yeah. And that's why I wondered. I forgot this morning why I stopped wearing one.
Darling.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
So, I've noticed that my energy, my preferred working hours, they just fit me, is between 2 and 8.
Yeah.
That just works for me. I need a slow start to the day. I need freedom at the beginning of the day, freedom of choice, get into things. And then I'm fine. I've still got energy till up to about 8 o'clock, and then I can eat after that.
Yeah.
That feels as if it suits me. But when I've got something to do, then a difficult conversation to have, I've been doing it in the morning, because thinking, let's get this over with. I need to do, and I don't do very well. I didn't do very well yesterday. I was rude to a customer service lady, and it was in the morning. I should have left it. I should relax and leave it till the afternoon.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, in Ayurveda, everything is being looked at through the perspective of the dosha. So even the periods of the day are either Vata, Pitta, or Kapha. So for instance, the peak of the sun, so it's between 11 and 2, is the Pitta time, where our fire, the digestive fire, is at its peak, and the sun is right above. And so this is where it's the best time to eat, for instance. Then you have the Kapha, you have the the Vata moments of the day are the moments of transition, because Vata is all about movement. Vata is all about change. So the moment of the sunrise and the sunset are the Vata periods of the day. So some of you might find it in the morning, but some of you might find me, being a Vata and a Pitta, I find these peaks of energy of creativity when I get things done, and in the morning and in the evening. So it depends on the period of the year, of course. Depends on, if it's around 5 or around 7. So you might feel more energy then. So if you want to get things done, it's also good to do it like around sunset. This is where the energy goes. And the period between, for instance, the transition, the sunrise and noon, somewhere between, let's say, it varies, but between 9 and 11 is the Kapha time, when it's the laziest time of the day. Well, and then in the afternoon between 2 and 6, 7, or even earlier during the winter, is the moments when they're Kapha times, when you digest, when you're slow, when you want to take a nap, when you're a bit more like,
right. Right.
So for me to be in the flow, I need to wake up early, because for instance, I need to pick up the sunrise, and it's then that I'm really cool, and I have my breakfast, and then I'm starting the day. If I wake up earlier, like today, for instance, because after all these weeks of moving and renovating the house, I feel exhausted. When I wake up around 10:30, the whole morning is gone, and I don't get to do much. So that's my rhythm. So this is how you can look at it. Eat at the peak of the sun, of the rest
of the sunset,
and then be more active and get things done. Waking up with the sunrise is actually the best. The birds do. We can do it too.
Susie, when we get our castle, we're going to wake up at sunrise every morning,
and we do meditation and yoga.
Do meditation, absolutely. Yes, you're right. If I get up, but I don't choose to.
No.
But I could. If I wake early, I wake with the sunrise because my blind is broken. So I wake with sunrise, or maybe a little bit later. And I like it. If I get out of bed and start the day, I love that time. Only I haven't thought, my mind has got in the way, and I've thought, I don't know, it's a bit early, and maybe I ought to get more sleep. Maybe I should sleep a bit more. So I don't do it, and then I don't feel good. I don't feel good at all. So no, then it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
exactly. Oh, it's 9 o'clock.
You naturally wake up, then that's
too late now,
isn't it? If you feel awake, then I do that sometimes. Like 6 o'clock. That's just too early, isn't it? But the body's saying, "Come on, let's get up." So okay. Because if it's like you say, the birds are singing, you're up, and that's it. And if you go back to sleep, then you end up feeling groggy all day.
Absolutely.
So it's like it is tuning into yourself, isn't it, and knowing, and not letting your mind tell your body what it feels like, because it doesn't know. Your mind has no idea what's happening in there really properly. Body, just listen to your body. That knows. Your mind will try and override the body all the time, but the body knows. So just tuning into that and knowing that, isn't it? Knowing it for yourself, because everyone's different. So it's really tuning into yourself and knowing in that now moment what does it want.
In regards to this kind of thing, the mind is a fool, isn't it?
It doesn't feel. It can't feel. Doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Well, listen, I mean, it has been an hour, so I just want to say thank you to you guys, because it was beautiful yet again, and everyone that's watching or listening. I hope you got value from this, and just don't be scared to make any changes that you really want to make. Don't live in fear, and as if what might happen, or anxiety, what might happen. So if you want change, ask yourself, if you're asking those other questions, ask yourself what's stopping you, and deal with that. Deal with the question, what's stopping you from making the changes, if something is stopping you. And if not, just do it. Just do it. So on that note, listen to our Real Therapy podcast coming out today, all about freedom. And have a wonderful, beautiful, sunny weekend. I've just warmed up and my brain's slightly more alive, so this is good. And lots and lots of love from us. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.